All right, hello everybody. My name is Girdle. This is Girdle Live's YouTube. Today I'm going to be showing you how to get absolutely rich with AI and gaming coins. So recently I posted this tweet about my current gut feel on the market, where I said that the local top I believe would be in by March of next year at around 2 trillion market cap. That's all altcoins and Bitcoin top above 110K, which would possibly come a bit earlier, and that's judging by the Pi cycle moving average. So I just want to touch on and expand a little bit more on each one of these points on how I came to these thoughts. And these are dynamic, they could change, but this is just how I feel at this current moment. So if you're familiar with the Pi cycle top, we can look at it here. The most important thing with this chart is the 350-day moving average times 2. You can see in each one of the prior cycles how the price of Bitcoin shoots up above it and then retests it for a very short period of time. If we zoom into the last cycle, you can see it more clearly here, where the 111-day moving average meets the 350-day moving average is typically the top or very, very close to the peak of the bull cycle. I think we'll see something similar play out this time. And then around that, we can use that Pi cycle top trigger to navigate whether altcoins will be peaking as well. And I think that's something we'll see similar play out this time. And that's going to be a critical component to tell when to take profit. And obviously, we're nowhere near that. This is last cycle. So if we zoom back out, we can see the current Pi cycle MA is well above 100K. Let me see if we can see that a little bit better. It's well above 100K, that moving average. Of course, in the price we all know is 63,000. So we have quite a ways to go. We're not even close. So we'll probably see that price shoot above to meet and then exceed the 350-day moving average. And that is going to be your cue to start thinking about where you should take some profits, because inevitably we will have a bear market and you don't want to be max bullish when everyone else is max bullish. You typically want to use that as a counter indicator for sentiment of when you should be looking for an exit. So right now, retail isn't interested. You have some hardcore people who are getting more interested. Funds have been accumulating, but there will be more. So right now, everything looks good for continued price action going higher into the end of this year into early next year. And of course, the subject of this video is going back to the original tweet, knowing that, and we'll touch on the altcoins as well. So we know that the Pi cycle we triggered above 110K, and that moving average is increasing all the time. So it will probably and possibly even be higher at that time that the peak is reached. That gaming and AI will also exceed those gains from these current levels, because the lower caps, they always do this, right? So every cycle we always see lower caps, starting with the majors, the mids, and the lowers, all outperform around that time of max bullishness and max greed, right? So what I like to do, of course, specializing in gaming and also AI, look for those signs. And one of the signs we already see is Nvidia and stocks like it in the S&P 500. They've created such a wealth effect on the way up. That money is going to look for a home, and crypto will be one of the vessels I think that is extremely undervalued at this time, and it will experience the most volatility to the upside. So we want to take advantage of that. And of course, memes, shitters, whatever you want to call them, they'll of course always play a part in these gains too. They typically go up the highest, but they're very, very, very hard to gauge where the bottoms are, where the tops are, if they're a rug, if they're not. There are people out there that specialize in that, and that will be something that they would want to play to their strengths to take advantage of that. I typically steer clear from those, but I'm always researching and on the lookout for anything that makes sense to me. So it's definitely something that even if you don't play in that market, you should keep an eye on. Um, and of course, we're at a time when going into October now. This is the Q4 period. Q4 is about to begin, where every prior cycle we've experienced an uptrend. Again, this is going from the last video, Q4 to Q1. These are the periods where a lot of gains are made in a very short amount of time. So we want to start really paying attention and focus so we can maximize that. So going on with that idea of making a lot of money in a very short amount of time and why that is the case. We can see here a chart of the crypto total market cap excluding top 10 on a dominance frame. So in prior cycles, these cycles were dictated largely from the liquidity flows. We can see that here with the global M2. We had a big uptick back in 2017 cycle, coinciding, of course, with this yellow line, which is that is the net liquidity flow globally, right? So whenever we see that uptrend start, sometimes there's a delay, sometimes there's not, but that typically, sometimes it lines up. That is like the number one sign that you want to look for the health coming back into the altcoin space. So when that starts, that's when you know that things are about to get serious and you should start paying attention. So we saw the same thing last cycle in 2020 leading up to 2021. Global liquidity broke out. Altcoins actually broke out a little bit before that. They kind of sniffed it out, and we had a huge cycle in altcoins that then trailed off as soon as global liquidity started to roll over. I think we're starting to see that again. This cycle has already started, but we haven't really seen that big uptick in global liquidity. But with the liquidity QT ending in China, as well as the Fed signaling the end of tightened conditions and possibly more easy monetary conditions in the US as well as abroad, I think we're just going to see a repeat of something that we saw in prior cycles where altcoins will benefit from that increased liquidity. And we can already see it with, let me see if I can draw it right here for you guys. With this higher low, this is a low, and then we have a higher low right here on altcoins. So that's typically a bullish sign. And when we draw that into the future, I think we're just going to see something like this happen. Similar to past cycles, and when altcoins go, they're very volatile, right? So we saw the similar thing repeat last time, where you had this dip, this higher low put in, and then a really volatile upswing. And of course, not a lot of people were expecting that. They were calling for, this was the COVID times, a global recession. People were calling altcoins off. Everyone, not everyone, but the majority was bearish. They were looking for lower entries. The same thing's happening this time where, like I like to say it how I do on Twitter, the bull climbs the wall of worry. I think we're just going to see the same thing here, where all of a sudden we're petering along. We put in a higher low. Things look okay. They're looking up a little bit. People are expecting maybe a more mild cycle, but all of a sudden that liquidity increases very quickly, and altcoins are just a mirror image of that. So something to keep in mind. I can also put this public on my trading view if you'd like to track the chart, but this is, in my opinion, the number one indicator for tracking how the cycle on altcoins and Bitcoin as well, how that will play out. But if you're looking for the volatility of altcoin and altcoin gains, you're going to want to really check and track the global liquidity and how that corresponds and matches with the altcoin cycles, right? Every 4 years, right? And we're heading into the last piece of the cycle where altcoins will really start to outperform. And going back to the subject of this video, we're mostly interested in AI and gaming, and I think that's where a lot of the gains will be made this cycle. Similarly, in how it was in prior cycles. So we can look at a prior example of this, which is, of course, if you're familiar with prior altcoin bull runs in crypto. This was Axie Infinity. Let me just update this chart. Candles and take logarithmic off. This is a perfect case study for something that no one sees this coming until it happens, and then you're in the meat of it. Next thing you know, you're up 8,000%. I'm not saying this is going to happen again, but this is something that we see almost every bull run. There's at least a handful of coins that do this, and this is a perfect case study of what something like a coin in the gaming narrative or the AI narrative can accomplish. So this was last cycle. Um, Back in June 2021, this was that last 6 months or so of last cycle. We saw great outperformance happen. Uh, and the bottom price of Axie was $2 in May of 2021. The run took approximately 126 days, bottom to top. The total percentage gain was 8,400%. That's 84x bottom to top. $2 turns into $168. On the way, there were many dips and shakeouts, approximately 3 to 4 of 30% or more. And you can see that when you zoom into the chart, you have one, two, three. You can make the case for this being a four or possibly the head and shoulders top. But if you were right here, in my opinion, this is where we are right here, where we possibly have 6 months, maybe up to 12 months left in this cycle. Altcoins are just starting to become bullish. Bitcoin dominance is in the process of breaking down. It hasn't even started yet. So we have a lot of gains ahead of us, right? So continuing on with this, we have um, the whole idea of catching something like this is you don't want to write it up. You want to already be established and accumulated here, so that when we're going up, we're staircasing up. You want to be thinking about where is your exit, not where is your entry, because every time people get bullish here, right? They get bullish here, and then they get max bullish here. We want to be max bullish here, take profit here, take more profit here, and be completely out by the time we get to the top, because no one knows when this top is going to occur. And when it does, it happens very quickly. So something like this will happen again. You'll see this happen with meme coins. You'll see this happening with gaming coins. You'll see this happening with AI coins, because those are the winning narratives of this cycle, just as how they were in past cycles. And you can see that with the wealth effect, of course, that was created with NVIDIA. And gaming has always been a winning narrative, especially for crypto. And of course, the allure of meme coins and the extreme volatility. So I just expect this to repeat again, and it's something that you want to be aware of to take advantage of. So let's go into some more practical steps we can take. So that's a case study. So we have, of course, my favorite coin, which is Beam. And where are we, right? Going from the case study of AXS, here we are. We broke out of that long-term diagonal. We retested it, and we have going on our fourth green candle, right? When you have more than three green candles in a row, it doesn't have to continue, but it's a trend change, right? It's you're going from something that was a downtrend to something that looks like it's something has shifted in the market. And this is a lot of charts look like meme. This is just one that I'm extremely familiar with. And I just think we're going to see something like this, right? We're going to see something like this we're going into Q4. We'll have a retest of the prior all-time high, and then it's off to the races, right? We don't know where the top is going to be, but that's not going to concern us when we're entered down here, right? Even if we've been holding since up here, when you're way up here and the bull run is chugging along, you're not going to care, if where you entered, because you'll be in profit, right? What you don't want to do is you don't want to enter here, be max bullish, and then experience, like we saw in the other case study with AXS, something like this. And I don't think we're going to go all the way back to the bottom. I mean, we could. Bear markets are brutal in crypto. You never know. But I don't think that you'll see a repeat of Axie, because a lot of the supply with Beam has been distributed. There's a lot of like supply dynamic demand factors that are in place that I think will prevent that. And the finances are also in place as well as other factors. But it's something to be aware of that once you get to this point, you don't want to be max bullish, even if it goes to, you know, 2, 3, 4x. Then uh, this part where you're taking profit, this point, that's not of concern of yours because you've already made, you know, your 10, 20, however many x, right? So be bullish when other people are bearish. This is when people were bearish. They were thinking it was going to go lower. It didn't. It broke the diagonal. It hasn't. We haven't gotten to this point yet, but we will eventually, in my opinion. Same with other coins as well. We can look at a more gaming play, but Aether also plays in the gaming space, but they're primarily AI. They provide cloud services for gaming, AI, mobile, and many other verticals that they operate in. They're an extremely profitable blockchain. So I think they're a really good bet based on their revenue, their team, and their financial position to do very well. A really good narrative in AI. Beam holds a large percentage of the supply of this coin, so a lot of Beam's price action will be reliant on how Aether does, in my opinion. So here we have something similar to Beam, where we break out of the diagonal. I think we're in the process of retesting. Maybe we break all-time high by the end of the year, and then it's off to the races, right? Of course, when that happens, you should be looking for an exit, not where you should be entering. You should have already taken care of that down here prior to entering Q4. So we've looked at Beam, we've looked at Aether. We can look at something maybe a little bit more speculative, but potentially more gains. We have Forgotten Playland, which, of course, we know how that one worked out in the early part of the chart. We had this big uptick immediately, which didn't bode well for the price action subsequent. But we've seen this in the past with crypto where you have these big drops and then no one gives a flying crap about this coin right now, right? It's a really good game. You have a very hardworking team. You have a lot of updates planned. You have a lot of the supply distributed to early holders, to seed investors, and you know, a lot of people had a chance to swap hands, you know, shorthand, short-term speculators to long-term. And now we possibly have something that looks like it could be a bottom being put in. These things might take some time, but you should be looking if you're bullish on gaming for coins that look like this, where they're doing this and then everyone's bearish, no one expects this, and then something like this happens, and the next thing you know you're up 10x, right? So that's what we want to look for, something where a bottom could be forming. Again, this coin is like 2, maybe 3 million market cap, fully diluted, maybe 30 million. Okay, your bet is to look at this coin and say, could it go lower? Of course, and anything in crypto could go lower, right? But your downside is cap versus a potential upside. Okay, so risk reward going into a bullish Q4, Q1, like we discussed earlier, with a potential $110,000 Bitcoin, a $2 trillion altcoin market cap, something like this could easily pull a 10x. Okay, so just be careful when everyone is bearish and charts look like this, even though it looks terrible. You just know that anything can happen in crypto, and the price can go up as high just as fast as it went down, just as quickly, right? So narratives change, people's mindsets change. So we need to be objective in response to that and follow our game plan, risk adjusted. Okay, so these are coins that I own, that I like, that I'm invested in. You don't have to choose them. I like them. Another one is Azuro, Azure token. It hasn't broken out of that diagonal yet. It's a little bit newer on the market, but just like how we looked at the other coins, if you see something like this and a retest and then a continuation in a Q4, you might want to look at an entry. This one plays in the gaming narrative as well. Something you might want to look into. It's not up for me to dictate what you buy, but I'm just telling you how I think. Okay, so I think a lot of these coins will run crazy numbers the rest of this bull run, and that's what I'm looking for. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, please subscribe, please like this and share it, and I will continue to make more like them. Thank you so much. Bye bye.